there are notions of leadership which are very autocratic. They're very top down. They're very directive. And sometimes, look, when consensus is not at hand and decisions need to be made, then someone or a group of people needs to decide, and people are going to be unhappy, right? That is required. And then there is accountability and all of that. But in some ways, not in some ways, we disaggregate a leadership curriculum into three component parts. And the first part is leadership of self. Going back to respect, that until you are in a place that even if you believe, based upon either your experiences or what you have learned, that you are completely right in a certain course, until you are in a place to begin to truly question those assumptions and then open to the perspective and the reality that you do not have a monopoly on all truth. You don't. And then how that feels and how you then position that against prestige. How will my colleagues think about me? What does this do to my perception of power? How does this factor into my plan in terms of where I'm going to be in the next year, 2 years, 5 years? If I show openness to my quote unquote enemy or my opponent, even though in this instance he or she is right, what does that do to the perception of my supporters and the dynamic that has been created, right? All of that occurs in the blink of an eye. And again, back to the space between reflection and reaction. In that moment, my God, there's so much that can occur in terms of your preparation and in playing with the moment, which is why we begin with getting your stuff together. What are your biases? And I don't just mean, how, anger or prejudices that you have against a people or a group of people, but like, what do you prefer? What are those things that, what are your blind spots? What are your triggers? What sets you off? Who is that person that if you're going into a meeting with them, even before you walk into the meeting, you're saying, oh my goodness, they get on my last nerve. For me, I've got an uncle and I love him dearly. But every Thanksgiving on my drive to the house, I say to myself, David, this time it's going to be different. And then I see him. Right? And so that leadership of self is so foundational. And I'm so blessed that at least with hopefully the last two elected officials that I ever worked for in my life, Deval Patrick and Barack Obama, both of them had a core where they would essentially, I think one of the lines was, let's begin with the right thing to do and work backwards from that, right? Like, that just sets the tone for an entire discussion. So,
David, I definitely don't want you to give up your day job, but you could hang up a shingle and teach this stuff, just freelance. You're really very good at it. But I want to focus on the teaching that you're already doing in the context of the Obama Foundation, and turn the conversation towards the years of experience that it's taken you and most of us to learn some of these things, toward this wonderful, promising young generation of activists that a lot of us are working with in different ways, and you're working with them in some very focused and interesting ways at the foundation. So I'm very interested to know, what do you see in them in terms of possibilities that maybe, weren't there in my generation or your generation, in terms of things that you would like to help them understand that their own formation hasn't taken them to as yet, Just that whole range of questions of what you're looking at and working with as you have the privilege, really,
Yeah.
of interacting with young activists who really want to make this a better world.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you used the word privilege in that sense, because it is a complete privilege. My dad said, he borrowed it from someone, I'm sure, but essentially life is divided into thirds. The first third, you're kind of figuring out what you want to be. The second third, you're doing it. And then the final third, which he told me I have now entered. I don't know what that means, but it's like now you have a responsibility